Well, no point in putting this off any longer. If I want to do anything else with the Mages Guild, I need to get a staff. Apparently at Wellspring Cave, there is an enchanted piece of wood or something with my name on it that I need to make my own personal staff. Some kind of status symbol or something. What the hell is that? Is that a beach slaughterfish? Is it alive? Oh. Yeah, how does it feel to be in my element now, punk? Hold on, wait a minute. This thing can't bite me, can it? If this slaughterfish bit me to death on land, I'd probably have to call it a day. I just have to set my controller down and say, you know what? That's just too much right there. That'll work. I need to raise my hand to hand. I need to raise a few strength skills, as a matter of fact. Oh, well, here's my opportunity to do just that. Come on with it. Yeah, I'm going to try to raise endurance, strength, and willpower this time, so... Destruction, restoration is good. Blocking armor, heavy armor is good. Blade, hand-to-hand. Get back to working on blunt at some point. Still haven't decided on a sword or a battle axe. Like I say, that's just going to depend on which weapon I pick up, and I just decide that just has to be my weapon. Alright, where this bandit is, there's usually another. I know this ruin here pretty well. It's essentially the first thing you see when you first step out of the sewers at the beginning of the game. Usually, one of the first places that I explore, too, before I even go to the Imperial City or anything. Come in here, grab some stuff, raise a few skills, do some things, and then take everything that I can carry to the city and sell it. Try to get a start. Although the Mages Guilds are honestly the best way to get money early. They don't mind you relieving them of all their novice mortar and pestles and alembics and what have you. Random spell scrolls laying around and stuff. Books, yep. Alright, come on with it. I know you got a bow. You always do. Yep. Alright, let's have a shootout. Seems like one of the perks you pick up with marksman is holding an arrow either costs less stamina or no stamina at all. And that's nice, because that's a hell of a stamina drain. And I'm guessing the lower your stamina, the lower your damage output. Ouch. Wow, it's like she's hitting me with I wonder if she has an enchanted bow. Okay, I want that. Whatever she's shooting me with, I want it. Okay, how many hit points does she have? I have a 25-point enchantment on this bow. Her health pool has to be at least, what, 250? 300? That's crazy. And that's why the normal enchantment setup that I might otherwise use on a lower difficulty is not viable for this. Got to come up with a whole new thing. I'm guessing the best way to go with my weapon is going to be some sort of drain agility. I would say maybe even absorb agility on strike and add it to myself. That would really only apply against melee-based enemies. But drain agility, I'm talking about putting an enemy in basically permanent stun lock. Well, maybe not permanent, but pretty close. Depends on what the cost of a charge like that is. And I'm guessing that might not apply to some enemies like maybe ghosts and stuff like that, which we haven't faced a lot of that yet, except a couple summoned from some pesky mages. But ghosts and wraiths and things like that will be an issue later on. These crabs really like to spar. They really do. They are not scared to fight. I almost hate killing them. I wish crabs just went unconscious. I wish they were unkillable. So you could just box with them all day long if you wanted to. You know, I'm thinking now that it's taking quite a number of hits to raise my block and my armor skills and stuff. Ran into the same problem in Skyrim on higher difficulties. Is you just couldn't take the number of hits you needed to raise your defensive stuff. So I was thinking maybe going back into the sewers, or maybe back over into that cave where Umbra was. There were rats and crabs down there. Get the crabs out of the way and just let the rats, you know, spar with them a little bit. That worked out decently well when we were there. Level up another time or two, and I'm guessing that it was just a basic heal spell. Nice, hand-to-hand just went up again. So that's what I'm talking about. Now, with a basic healing spell, should be able to pretty much keep up with whatever damage a rat's doing. Going with a few potions too, and probably get my block and heavy armor, or whatever armor I'm wearing, up. Sure. Take that. Also, another thought crossed my mind, something I've honestly never thought of in this game. Hadn't seen it. I'm guessing this is probably, if it works, then it's something that's been done by, like, everybody all along, but I never thought of it, or read it anywhere. It was casting a disintegrate armor on self to practice armor. I mean, I don't consider any kind of training and any kind of skill in this game an exploit per se, because they're legitimate skills. And if you can, you know, if you were an armorer's apprentice, you would get trash gear to practice on, to learn how to straighten metal and hammer it back into shape and fix it and repair it and, you know, reattach leather straps, and you would be practicing on garbage. A master smith would not give an apprentice master level stuff that he might plan on selling or, you know, fixing as a contract or job to, say, some knight or something. You wouldn't get that. You would get garbage to practice on. So creating garbage to practice on seems perfectly legitimate to me. It's not counter-immersive at all. Matter of fact, totally down with that. If you want to exercise a certain skill to improve yourself in some particular facet of your character, I'm down with that. Now, an exploit is where you do something the game isn't designed to let you have, but you do to get something with little or no effort. That's not what I'm talking about here. A legitimate spell, if you can make a disintegrate armor spell that you can cast on yourself, then sounds good to me. Practice on my own armor. If it won't break fast enough, I'll break it myself. Split my shoulder piece in half and then practice my armor skills and putting it back together again. Sounds legitimate to me. I'm totally down with it. Anyway, I think I'm going to go check that out. I want to make a healing spell for myself. A decent healing spell over time that doesn't cost quite too much mana. But something I can cast. It's a little bit cheaper. I know overtime spells are cheaper than lump sum spells. Like, instead of 30 points all at once, 10 points over 3 seconds would be, it probably costs about half as much. So I'm thinking of something like that. Make my own fireball spell that maybe has a built-in weakness to fire, so you can maximize whatever damage that might do. Although it's still probably going to be relatively weak, because I'm still considered, I think, a novice or apprentice in destruction, but still, I'd be able to make something a little better than what I've got, and then make a few training spells. A restoration spell, like, you know, heal self for minimum hit points type of thing, or something like that. Although, I don't know if that counts if you're not hurt. That's something to consider. I'm not sure if restoration counts as a cast if you're not damaged. I don't know. Oh, there's plenty of other restoration spells that I could use too. I'm guessing you probably even practice destruction spells on yourself. I'm guessing. You know, like you could practice, I don't know, drain, like, intelligence, 1 point on self for 1 second, or something. You know, something like that. The main thing for right now, though, is armor. I want to get it to at least 50 so I can start repairing my own magical stuff. It's not a big deal when you're messing around with iron and steel stuff, but I I noticed this dwarven claymore that I have. Oh, geez, it was 100-something gold to repair it, and it really wasn't all that broken, you know? And I'm like, you know, I'm not Mr. Moneybags right now. That's going to add up pretty quick. I'm cheap. I'd rather fix my own stuff. Anywho, if you're asking, why in the hell are we in this fort? I thought we were going to Wellspring Cave. Well, I couldn't pass it up. I saw a fort, and there's a goblin out front, and had to go kick its ass. And I'm like, maybe there's more goblins in the fort. Go kick their ass, too. Been a long time since I've looked around in here. This fort has given me the blues on lower difficulties, so I'm going to come in here and kind of test where we're at, so to speak. Get a good feel for where our combat prowess is. See if I can get at least one of these goblins out of here. There's going to be a few in here. I think I got at least one. Ouch. Well, they're not like two-shotting me. He didn't do just an extensive amount of damage. That's cool. Good to see that. And the idea is, even on this difficulty, to get to where you can take some hits. If you can start taking a few hits, you can get in there and fight. I like to feel like when I'm getting in there, ideally, I want to be able to hit you about the same as you hit me, you know? Well, actually, I'd like to one-shot you to where you don't even get a chance to hit me first, but if I can't do all that, if I got to hit you 20 times, it's way imbalanced if you only have to hit me once or twice. That means I got to sit in there and somehow juke and dodge your stuff. Now, we can hit each other about the same. If you get the better of me, well, that's fair. Fair fight. You win. Are they stuck on the logs? Alright, well here, I'll just put my zombie on this side then. There he goes. Nice. Got him! Hey, get down there and kick somebody else's ass. There you go. Well, we got an archer down there. I already know that. From here we get to go test our ability to deal with some mages. Dedicated mages. Mages who are all about magic. Who are all about kicking your ass with magic type of thing. Kind of see where we stand. Sounds good to me. Oh, wow. Oh, you want a box, huh? Oh, well, come on with it. Aggravated little goblin. Hold up, man. He's pissed. Here. Punch on him for a while. There we go. Let's see, this is where my... See my zombies tanking it up? That's right. Zombie outright killed that rat. Oh, sorry. I think I set my zombie on fire. Come back here. Where are you going? He's like, oh, your zombie's gone now, huh? Ouch. Yeah, not doing a terrible lot of damage. I mean, I'm hurt, but this isn't one of those things where, oh my god, if I don't heal before he hits me again, you know, at half health, then I'm dead type thing. That's cool. The balance is, it's a little more balanced. If I had a decent enchantment on my sword that I could swing it more than 5 times without it losing its charge type of thing, this would be doable. Yeah, I think a drain agility, a decent damage enchantment with weakness to whatever that damage is, fire, frost, whatever, I tend to be partial to Frost just because I like it. Also, I think it's slightly cheaper than the other two elements at the enchanting table. Slightly cheaper. Like if you want, say if the charge cost for fire would be like, I don't know, let's just say, for example, 200. For Frost, it'd be like 195. Maybe not a whole lot, but just a little bit. Just get one extra swing, which, hey, it all counts, right? Now, playing a Breton, on top of the fact that playing a Breton gives a lot of room to grow playing as a warrior class. We talked about that extensively in the build video and earlier in the game. But you get a resistance to magic, which helps. Now, there's two ways to go, resistance or absorption. If you're going to deal with magic, if you want defense against magic, just straight up becoming to resistance to types is one thing. Becoming to resistance to magic overall, I don't know if you can get 100% immunity. You can get the numbers 100%, but I don't know if it counts 100% because there's caps in things in the game. Like damage resistance, for example, is 85%. You can have enough armor rating to be 200% resistant to all damage. It'll still cap at 85%. You're going to take some damage. There's going to be some bleed through there. It's just going to. Because like I say, there is a cap, regardless of what your armor rating is. It's like that in Skyrim too. So I'm wondering if it's not the same thing with magic resistance / immunity, if there is no actual immunity. But if you can resist or ignore 85% of all magic, well, you're doing pretty good. Somebody's going to have to hit you with something pretty excessive to do any real damage to you like that. If nothing else, you at least get a chance to get yourself out of trouble. Getting one-shotted by anything is no fun. Now, if I was playing a Altmer, there is something interesting with the Altmer. I think you get a 100-point magic bonus instead of 50 with the Breton, but you get like a 50% or 100% magic weakness. You're weak, or 20. Maybe it's only 25%. Anyway, you get a built-in weakness to magic, but you get like a 100-point buff. So that would give you a starting magic pool at 50 intelligence of 200 instead of 150, like with my Breton. And I believe you start the same as an Altmer also, as you start at 50 intelligence. In fact, the starting stats are pretty much identical, I think. 50 intelligence, 50 willpower, but your agility, strength, and I think endurance are stunted a little bit. I also want to talk about one argument against the way that I my logic in building characters in this is that, okay, if you want room to grow, you grow by raising skills, and the type and amount of skills that you raise during the course of a level dictate how many points you can put into an attribute. So you're going to stunt yourself, like say with a Breton, on, say, endurance, to turn right around and have to sink points back into endurance. The key with the Breton isn't so much the starting attributes, because you can make up for those. It wasn't just the starting attributes. Okay, true enough, it's a magic-based race to start with, because you start with high willpower, high intelligence. Okay, so you start with a little bit of a magic bonus, not to mention the 50 points of extra magicka and 50 points of magic resistance. I mean, that's nice, right? But it's the starting skills. Is basically all of your combat related skills are started at an absolute minimum. They like start at like 5 or maybe 15 at the most, instead of starting at like say like 25. And then if you don't major in those, they stay really, really low. And so you get 90 points to train in these related skills. Not only plenty of room to get your attributes up to where you need them, but also starting with a nice boost in the case of the Breton, in willpower. The only slight downside is, say I were to start my warrior with a warrior-based race, like say an orc or maybe a Nord, or whatever. And I believe you start with a 50 endurance instead of 30. That means in your first couple levels, in fact, up until you get your endurance to 100, you can get your endurance to 100 about, if you start with the exact same everything, as say I start with my Breton, you'll get your endurance to 100 like 4 levels before I will. You know, if you took an orc, which I believe starts with 50 endurance, and then took the warrior or the lady, you'd probably take the lady sign in the case of an orc to get the bonus on willpower, because I believe your willpower is lower with an orc, but your endurance is much higher. So you take the extra 10 points of endurance and make up for your willpower a bit, then you would be starting with 60 endurance instead of 40, like I did in the game. And so at level, say, 8, you could technically have your endurance at 100 instead of level 12, like my character. So that means you get that max bonus, the few extra hit points you get for those couple of levels in there for having your endurance a little bit higher. True enough. Okay, so it you know, by the time we both reach level 20, say, that orc would have, you know, a handful of extra hit points. Don't know exactly how many, right? But you'd get that bonus just a little bit earlier than my character. But you would have not only a lot of magic training to do, even if you specialize in magic, you still have a lot of magic training to do and stuff like that. Still have a relatively low willpower. Stamina would be something of an issue with your character, although you'd eventually compensate for all that stuff. And wouldn't have so much room to grow in things like strength and stuff like that. And you'd have to really micromanage the magic skills and stuff like that. Me personally, I like to have as much room to grow in what I'm going to do, so I can dictate the course of that. It's only a matter of a level or two in terms of balancing out things, or say 3 or 4 levels. Anyway, it's petty. Before I balance out the strength and endurance issues with my character as, say, a warrior-based character, but I already have a strong jump in magic-based stuff. I have an extra pool of magicka, intelligence, and willpower to draw from. And the strength and endurance becomes essentially a non-issue really early. Like right now, I think we're doing fine. In fact, our endurance is going to be maxed out here in the next couple levels. So, yeah, that's the way I roll with it. When it all comes down to it, does it really too much matter in the long run? I think in the case of this, max difficulty, yes. I think if you're just playing default across the board, you know, default difficulty and everything, like that, maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, it comes down to more like a Skyrim thing of, you know, just what you want to play, what you're most comfortable with when all's said and done. But yeah, starting with the warrior race, to be fair, to you know, honestly, you'd be a little bit stronger earlier, but not as well-rounded later, I don't think. I'll have a more well-rounded character a little earlier than, say, a warrior-based character who would truly be a little healthier and a little bit stronger earlier, but then would be struggling later to catch up, where my character would be pretty stout all the way around. And if nothing else, I mean, that magic resistance is going to really come in handy. Yeah, I just wouldn't roll with the Altmer. And I honestly wouldn't roll with the Atronach, which is essentially my favorite sign. I wouldn't roll with that on this difficulty either. I could not see micromanaging my magical pool being unable to regenerate any magicka at all. There just isn't enough potions in the game to compensate for the amounts of magic you have to pour out just to stay healed and throw enough fireballs to kill shit. You know, relying just on weapons so far, it's been my experience relying just on weapons and nothing else. Oh my gosh, our shit would be breaking halfway through these dungeons. Not to mention, you want to get in melee range, you're just going to stay dead, you know? I think I already have a set of steel gauntlets, don't I? I think we already found a pair of those. They're heavier. I don't know how much more good they'll do me than the iron ones I'm wearing. It looks like their armor rating is about the same. I believe if you sit on that throne, there's a throne somewhere in this game, if you sit on it, you get spikes up the butt. I could have saved right there and just checked it out, just out of curiosity, but you know what? I don't feel like wasting the time with that. Go ahead and get out of here. There is a throne somewhere. I think that one's it. Where it's like a trap. You sit on it and you get spikes through the boo-boo. Yep. Not cool. don't have steel gauntlets. I could have sworn I found a pair. Huh. Alright, I guess I'll grab those. Wouldn't mind a matching set. Yeah, steel is much, much heavier than the iron. I can just imagine how much a full Daedric set weighs. I believe it's in like the, what, 250 pound range? 250 units of weight, whatever. For the full set? Something like that. I have always been pretty partial to wearing a hood with my character. I'm not a big fan of helmets or headgear in general. You notice a lot of the games I play, very seldom do you see me with any kind of headgear. The extra point or two of resistance, I'll gladly welcome right here. But at some point in the game, I'd like to put on something that I like. Considering pretty much any armor piece you can put an enchantment on to, you know, give yourself an added buff. Maybe something simple like just, you know, magic a boost. Magic resistance. Sounds good. Can't think of much else I'd be looking for. Haven't really plotted out the quote-unquote ideal set of gear exactly. My mind's really on a weapon that's functional. I wouldn't waste an enchantment on any of this armor that I'm wearing right now anyway. Although, considering as you level, your armor rating goes up naturally, as well as, you know, upgrading your armor and so on and so forth. But I believe your actual overall armor rating goes up each time you level a few points. Until eventually, at some point, you max out. Of course, you know, you got to figure your skills are going up as you play. And then the equipment that you find, assuming you upgrade that, that's going to go up as you play. And then, you know, it inches its way up as you level also. I don't know that it would be so important exactly what set of armor. It's something to be said for just finding even an early set. Like, if you like the way iron plate looks, you could probably roll with that. True enough, it doesn't have the base damage resistance as, say, you know, a nice set like Ebony or Daedric or something. Yeah, obviously, it's going to have a much lower armor rating, but I think at a certain level, you get the same. I know there is a certain level where light armor and heavy armor are identical in terms of protection-wise. Like, once you hit the 85% cap, it doesn't matter after that. I mean, if you could manage to hit that cap butt naked, you would still have the same damage resistance as someone in a full Daedric set. Assuming that were possible, so... Alright, well, we got to explore a fort. Sometimes it's nice just to explore stuff, just to do it. I'm in no real hurry. I feel no compulsion to do any particular thing in here. I would like to avoid the higher level quests in some of these storylines, like, you know, Mage's Guild and Thieves Guild and stuff like that, until a little bit later, just so I can get better stuff. Like in Thieves Guild, you're gonna come across a lot of chests and a lot of things, you know, to loot. And the difference between running across that chest at level 8 or 18 is the difference between possibly several thousand gold worth of really cool shit. Equipment, soul gems. You start eventually picking up soul gems in just random chests, and that's awesome. Until we get Azura's Star, which is probably going to be much later than earlier. Like, by now, I'd probably be making maybe an effort to get up there in that area. The Temple of the Ancestor Moths is up there near Azura's Shrine. And I'd like to get that started, but the quest, in order to get her star, oh, that's some serious shit. I wouldn't even think about that right now. I wouldn't be able to kill anything that I need to kill to do it right now. I just don't have the gear for it. I would get one-shotted, for one thing, and I would have to... spend probably 45 minutes pounding on each enemy in that area. Just, yeah, that's like trying to go kill Umber right now. I mean, just realistically, it's just not going to be done. I don't have what I need to do it. Maybe if I could summon 15 or 20 level 20 Daedra, you know, a whole bunch of what are they, Daedroths or Clan Fears? Yeah, if I had like 15 or 20 clan fear scrolls, well, maybe. Oh, so that's what this well is giving me. Magicka buff, 44 points. It's an odd number. I wonder if that's level related or something. Anyway, so my Magicka right now is right around 200 or so. Oh shit, even higher than that. That's cool. That'll last a little while. I think it's like 5 minutes. Something like that. Alright, well here's Wellspring Cave, and I guess that's our next stop. Go in there and deal with these mages. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. If you want to subscribe, click that button up top. If you want to catch the rest of this playthrough, you can click that image in the middle. It should send you straight to the playlist. Appreciate you hanging out. Y'all take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.